Hey everybody, welcome back to Descent at Best. This is our first in a series of how-to mountain bike videos. This is how to do drops. And I am here at the Dropportunity Zone, as it's called at Rocky Knob. I think it's the absolute best place to learn how to do drops in Western North Carolina. I've been to Cayuga, they've got graduated drops, which are good. I've been to Lee's McRae Trails, which has graduated drops. Some of them are really sketchy. This is the place to be, so we're gonna start here and hopefully I'll see you out here. Now, drops can be really terrifying and challenging for a couple reasons. One is there's not really a parallel between doing drops on mountain bikes and any other sport. Like for jumping, if you learned how to jump doing like on skis or skateboard or snowboard or something, like a lot of it's transferable. In no other context should you be riding off of a cliff, you know? So it's like a new thing. And if you already know how to jump, there's some techniques that can carry over, but there's a lot of things in jumping that you actually want to actively avoid in doing drops. So it's really important to me that you treat this as a separate skill. So let's get into it. So before we get into the nitty-gritty details and body part by body part kind of thing, I want to give you the overview. And the motion is really, to me, about being active and attacking the drop and placing the bike in front of you. And this is a kind of a philosophical thing. I took lessons on these and I've watched probably every YouTube video on it. A lot of people, there's like some consternation about, is it more about getting the bike in front or is it more about getting your hips back? And if you take a freeze frame of somebody in the air, you couldn't tell what they're thinking. But I want you to think about attacking and placing the bike in front of you. So it's a combination of kind of spreading your legs wide, Yosemite Sam style, so that the saddle can go through your legs, starting behind you and ending up in front of you. And so it's like a little bit uplift, kind of unweighting the bike and placing it. This is your little row. Looks like you're rowing a boat. You start off kind of in here and you place the bike in front of you. I don't think of it as going back, even if it's what it looks like, because I don't want you to be thinking about being passive or letting the drop happen to you. I want you to go get it. Here's what it looks like on the bike. So, wide stance, place it in front, place it in front, place it in front. Okay, so let's go piece by piece, starting with your feet, to your legs, to your chest, your head, and your arms and your hands. So, what should your feet be doing? Well, you're gonna have one foot in front of the other. For me, that is my right foot. So you've got whatever foot's in front, heel down as you go off the ledge, and the back foot's gonna go toe down. And it's not just that you're putting in those positions, you're also putting some kind of a horizontal force to try to keep the pedals level and also with some constant tension on them. If you go the other foot forward, your left foot forward, that heel is down, the other heel is up, and you're starting level, you go off the drop, and you put some tension on those pedals, heel down, heel up, and then right when you're about to land, not in the middle of the air, but right as you're about to land, then you put them back. If you put them back too early, you'll have what happened to me a lot, which was you go off the drop, everything's fine, and then suddenly you find your feet floating in the air and you don't know where your pedals are. And that is really scary and can be really harmful to your legs, especially if you're wearing flat pedals. All right, so as far as your legs are concerned, the main thing is you want to get them wide as you place the bike in front of you. And that is because your saddle, which should be down, if you got a dropper post, put it all the way down. Regardless, you got to put it all the way down. Your saddle is going to be behind your bottom. You want to open your legs enough so that the saddle can maybe even give you a little perineal scrape, ideally not, but get out in front of you. You want to end up with the saddle in front of your nether region. So it's coming from behind you, legs out. As you place the bike forward, it ends up in front of you. If you look at my footage when it's POV, when I go over the drop, you start off by just seeing the handlebars. When I go off the drop, suddenly you see like the whole top tube before I land. It's because I'm placing the bike in front. I'm gonna say it 100 times this video. Now, when you're doing a drop, I think considering the chest and head as one unit is important. So you're gonna keep a straight line between those. And you're gonna start off looking with your chin over the stem for where the landing is, you know? Once you sight it, or at least once you get to the end of the drop, What you want to do at that point is not so much go back, but really go up. What I want you to do is start off here and bring that whole unit up. Even though you won't really be sighting the landing with your eyes, you're trying to sight yourself putting the bike straight out in front of you. And then you'll sight the landing while you're in midair again for a second time. But it's really here and then up as you place the bike forward. Now the biggest thing that unlocked drops for me was when I stopped considering it to be a hip and leg based act and started thinking of it as an arm based thing. Again, it's really about placing the bike in front of you. Your body is just going to move in the same kind of plane and the same acceleration as it always is when it's on the bike. But the bike itself is going to go normal to really fast at the point at the end of the drop. And with your arms, it's not that you're pulling up to keep the bike from nosediving, it's that you're pushing it out. There's a little up, but really not much at all. In fact, you should be able to do a drop without using any of your fingers. Just your thumbs are kind of hooked on the bar and placing it forward. So I'm gonna have my fingers off right here. I'm ready with my chin over the handlebar, and I place the bike in front of me. Notice that the saddle ends up in front of my nether region. All right, so now it's time for the components of the bike and what they should be doing or not doing when you complete a drop. Starting from the pedals, we already talked about this. I have my front pedal being this one. So I'm gonna have heel down there and heel up here with some tension between them. Talked about it before. Now, if you go off too slow, the bike naturally is gonna nosedive and you're gonna go over the bars. It happened to me several times. And it's really hard to avoid that when you're first starting off because you're trying to be cautious. It's really hard to go from 0 to full send. It's actually the safest thing to do. So you want to have like twice as much speed as you think is okay. That's gonna keep the front wheel on a horizontal plane. So these wheels should be exactly the same the whole time. There shouldn't be any nosedive if you're going fast enough and if you place the bike out in front. But also, you don't want to manual. I know some videos talk about that. You don't want to get the front wheel up and kind of land with your back wheel first. You want to be totally balanced, ideally landing on both wheels at the same time. Dropper post, again, should be down. Getting that saddle out of the way, you don't want it to catch anything. And then as far as other components of the bikes, the brakes. That's a big one. Let's talk about it. All right, so as far as brakes are concerned, I think Neil Donahue does a really good job talking about the point of commitment is one of the biggest things you've got to figure out. And that's why I think that the Dropportunity Zone here at Rocky Knob is so great, because the point of commitment is clearly demarcated for you by the transition from dirt to wood. Once your front tire, really gets to this wood, your dropper post needs to be already down, no brakes. I used to actually take my entire hand off the brakes, which is probably not safe, but I had to like train myself to be courageous. But no brakes from this point on. You're totally committed, and if you're not, you need to have stopped before this point. Brakes also, as you go off the drop, shouldn't be engaged right when you land. Like, I've been guilty of this, sometimes like hitting the brakes in the air, so I immediately start skidding. That's the kind of thing that'll throw you off, make you fall, go over the bars. You want to give yourself a run out before you even bother touching the brakes. So, that's quite a bit of information. I think we'll stop there. We'll move to more advanced drops that have inclines and declines and that aren't just on platforms, but on real trail features next. But if you're starting your journey on drops, this is the best place to start. Something like this, where you can actually roll off of it and not go over the bars. You'll know that you're ready to progress when this no longer seems big to you. I can recall when this seemed gigantic to me, and now it's almost funny. But if you feel like this is big and scary, I hear you. Make sure you just get that bike out in front, place it, and you'll be fine. All right, so that's gonna do it for me here at the Dropportunity Zone at Rocky Knob for the basics of doing drops. And to summarize again, It's keep those legs wide, get that bike placed in front of you. Here's your dance. And don't hit the brakes. Don't make the drop too large, like larger than it is, by trying to jump off of it and bounce off the platform. But also, don't be so eager to get to the ground that you look down and all your body is positioned down. You want to stay straight, eyes to the horizon, place the bike in front of you, and you'll be ready to shred in no time. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you next time here on Descent at Best. Cheers.